While European leaders make explicit calls for a European army, our government has made no comment whatsoever. At the Foreign Affairs Council this week, a new batch of PESCO projects was announced. More areas where European armies will enter into permanent, structured cooperations. The latest round of PESCO projects include Eurodrone, a new missile system, a joint EU intelligence school in Greece, the sharing of military bases and an upgrade to European attack helicopters. Currently, Ireland is participating in two projects: European Union Training Mission Competence Centre and upgrade of maritime surveillance. While we didn't sign up to the PESCO projects announced last week, coincidentally, Junior Minister for Defence Paul Keogh chose this exact same date to announce a separate European military project spearheaded by Ireland, which aims to set up a rota system for UN peacekeeping missions. It's hard not to view this as an attempt to try and normalise further the idea of an EU army by purposefully linking PESCO to positive ideas of peacekeeping and the United Nations. The government is covering over the overtly military direction the EU is headed. Remember that the word peacekeeping is not mentioned once, not one single time in PESCO legislation. 2 weeks ago, the Defence Forces Chief of Staff appeared in front of an Oireachtas committee for the first time ever. Vice Admiral Mark Millett was happy to have the opportunity to clarify that the decision to nominate him for the top job at the EU Military Committee was a government decision and not his. He also shed some light on how the decision to participate in Operation Sophia was arrived at. You will remember the extensive coverage of the crews of Eli Etna and Eli Neve when they took part in a humanitarian mission in the Mediterranean. But you might not have heard as much about Operation Sophia, which is a military exercise and whose practice has been called into question by NGOs. Also last week, Junior Minister Paul Keogh admitted to independent TD Maureen O'Sullivan that involvement in PESCO projects carries a cost. But how can the purchase of a €200 million warship be justified while members of the Defence Forces continue to be underpaid and are forced to rely on family income supplement? Last month, I held a public meeting in Galway on the militarisation of the EU and what role Ireland should play in it. Personally, I get uncomfortable when I'm told that this is all for my protection and to defend European values. What are these European values? What are Ireland's values when it comes to this area? In fact, I believe there is an innate decency in Irish people and how we relate to the rest of the world. 4 out of 5 people support Irish neutrality and recognise that our impartiality in these matters is a huge asset and allows us to punch far above our weight in international relations. We also value political dialogue, and most of us condemn the achieving of political aims by military means. Instead of quietly being subsumed into a military alliance with the imperial armies of Europe, the government should be strongly and proudly making the case against a new arms race so that badly needed funding can go to housing and health and not to Raytheon and Airbus.